You're listening to episode 96, recap episode, The Best Advice from Year 2 Guests, Part 2. Welcome to the Grass Gets Greener podcast, the show for survivors by survivors. I'm your host, Melissa Wilson, a bullying survivor and anti-bullying advocate. And each week you'll hear from a survivor who has overcome a traumatic experience to go on to not only survive, but thrive, so that you can too, starting now. Hey there, welcome, and thank you for tuning in to part 2 of a 2-part recap that I'm doing here for the end of Year 2, where you will find a compilation of my Year 2 guests' answers to the final question that I ask, which is given what you know now. If you could go back to when you were going through your tough times and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? And so I hope that you had a chance to check out the first recap last week, as this is kind of just a continuation of that. And we're going to be doing episodes 75 through 93 today. But before we get into it, I do just want to mention that today's episode is brought to you by audible.com. Audible is the premier provider of digital audiobooks. I signed up with them to get you a free audiobook download along with a 30-day free trial. They have over 180,000 titles, including some that have been mentioned on this show in the past, that you can choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or whatever you use as an MP3 player. So if this is something that interests you and you want to check it out, all you have to do is go to thegrassgetsgreener.com/audible, and you can go ahead and get your free audio download along with that 30-day free trial. And I do just want to mention in regard to Audible that this will be the last time I'll be mentioning them as a sponsor. I wanted to try them out this year just to see if it's something that you guys would be interested in. And there hasn't been a ton of interest, so I'm not going to continue to be mentioning them into Year 3. I don't want to, waste your time with mentioning things that you're not going to be interested in and not find valuable. So this will be the last time. And if you are interested, though, you do still have some time to go and check out that deal. But like I said, I won't be continuing it into Year 3. So today we have, as I mentioned, the second part of this 2-part recap. And I hope that you listen to the first one, because like I said, this is just kind of a continuation of that. I just happened to split it up over the course of 2 weeks. But I would definitely go back and listen to recap 1 if you haven't yet. And if you did check it out and you liked it, well, we have more of the same here. So I'm not going to say much more than that as far as introducing the episode goes, because again, I would just go and check out the first one first, and that'll kind of explain things a little bit more than I am here. So we're just going to go ahead and get into this one, and we'll be starting out with episode 75, and just like in the last one, I'll be introducing each one beforehand so that you know which one it is and which guest it is, and definitely encourage you to go check out the full episodes of any of the clips here that pique your interest and resonate with you. And I will have those all linked up on the show notes page, which I'll tell you where you can find those at the end of this one. And so, yeah, we'll just go ahead and get into it, and be sure to stick around all the way to the end, where I'll be back just to kind of wrap things up and let you know where you can find the show notes page. All right, so here we go with the first one. Episode 75, Gaining Control of Your Life After Being Mistreated, with Nick Barwick.
Just hold on, man. I actually wrote this, I wrote this letter to I titled it My 13-Year-Old Self. And it was one of kind of the most therapeutic, wonderful things that I ever did. And in that letter, I was just saying, look, dear Nick, things will get better over time. Just, hold on. Life will get better. You'll meet a wonderful woman. You'll still have your family and things like that. So kind of, if I was to look back on my life and, be able to give myself one piece of advice, it would just be like, stay strong, hold on, and just give yourself time. That's really what it was all about.
Episode 76, Breaking Free of a Controlling Situation, with Bethany Ellen.
I've thought about it a lot, and I don't know if I have one piece of advice for me, because I have like a list. I'm very big on checklists.
That's okay. Give us what you got.
um, of advice that my young self needed. And I think my biggest probably would be just like start exploring. And that doesn't necessarily have to be physically exploring the world, although I automatic like 1000% will do all of that. You know, start exploring your feelings, start exploring where you are in the situation you are, and if you're not happy, go. Start exploring ideas of new things, new ways to become, to go back on my friend's words and my friend's advice, like to become a person. Like, you know, I started this photography business probably about 2 years too late. You know, I'm having a blast with it and I'm taking these amazing shots now. And I got to just shoot for the Cincinnati Ballet. And like, that was so much fun. So like, go figure out how you're feeling. And if you're not happy, go somewhere else, because there are places where you will be celebrated and not tolerated and not hated. So you need to go find those places immediately.
Episode 77, The Power of Getting the Right Support When You Need It, with Erin O'Callahan.
I think I would tell myself that even though not at the moment, but you are going to be supported. I think if I would have been able to foresee, which of course, you know, you can't foresee that, but if I would have been able to know that there are people out there who will support you no matter what when it comes to these issues, it would have been helpful, obviously. And just, I think that's the main point. It's just that I would be supported by the people that matter.
Episode 78, Finding Your Voice Through the Help of Music, with Beth Durbin.
I think that would have to be to not be silent. You know, I went too long without telling anybody anything, you know, and I went too long without even recognizing it to myself. So I think tell someone, write it down, get it out, just something so that it's not just inside of you, you know, for years and years and years, and then you end up in worse shape than you were to start with. I think that's very important to find your voice and to use it.
Episode 79, Prevailing Through the Past to Fight for Change Today, with Ginger Lewis.
Well, as the adult, I'm tempted to say, go tell someone, but I know better than that, because as a child, you are in a hostage crisis. There is no way out. And to put the expectation on a child to go tell when they've been told not to tell, I think is an unreasonable expectation. So I wouldn't give myself that advice, because I really don't think that I could have done that. I mean, I think I did the best I could with my little mantra of I won't tell, but if anyone asks, I'll never lie. I mean, that's the best I could do. So I think what I would tell myself is adamantly that this was not my fault. It was not my fault. And to make that a mantra, because I think I have a lot of the work that I've had to do in the aftermath of this is really trying to rewire belief that somehow I brought this on myself, that I did this, you know, that this was my responsibility. So I would tell that 11-year-old, it is not your fault, and you just keep telling yourself that, and to hold on, because you will prevail.
Episode 80, Choosing to be the Hero Instead of the Victim, with Amy Clover.
Oh, I actually wrote a whole post about this. I wrote a letter to myself that's up on stronginsideout.com. It's actually one of my most popular blog posts up there. But
you'll have to send me the link and I can put it on the show notes.
I'll definitely send you the link because I think it could be really helpful. There are a couple of links that I'd really love to share with your listeners here that I think would be really helpful.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I think the main thing I'd say is just that you're stronger than you know. And the fact that you're feeling this doesn't mean that you're worth any less. Emotions are not weakness. The ability to be with our emotions and acknowledge our emotions is true strength in my book. And so the more that you allow yourself to honor those emotions, to be with them, experience them, and grow through them, the stronger you're going to be. So please hang in there. This too shall pass.
Episode 81, Rebuilding Your Life and Creating a New You, with Luminita Saviuk.
Oh, first of all, I think I would just go and just like pour so much love onto myself, my younger me, and just give myself a big hug. And it's like, oh, kiddo, just have faith. Have faith because everything is happening in such a beautiful, divine, and magnificent way. And you don't have to worry. Please relax, trust, have faith, and just know that it's all happening the way it's supposed to happen, and that everything is happening for you, not to you. So no need to worry, no need to cry, no need to freak out. Just trust, because I feel like I tend to, sometimes maybe take too much on my shoulder, and I think that I have to control everything. But through my journey, I just learned that there is a force way bigger than me, and if I just learn to relax, it will take such good care of me, and things will be so much easier. So yeah, I think these are the things. I'm just like, relax. It's gonna be fine. Just have faith, and know that all these things will actually strengthen your faith, and you're gonna be happy that you went through all these things, because I came from the future, and I know, and I love the future.
Episode 82, Turning Trauma into Strength and Breaking Through Limitations, with Dixie Gillespie.
It's really a 3-part answer. It comes down to what I aspired to and what I valued, and being able to differentiate that. So when I was in that situation, and for many, many years after, what I valued was being tough. I could out tough my father. That was a huge value. And don't get me wrong, my father in so many ways was a wonderful man. I nursed him for the last several months of his life. We finally developed what I had craved from him all my life. It was wonderful, but my father was tough, and I valued toughness. I valued my intellect. I tried to outsmart everybody. I was too smart for my own good, literally. And then as the abuse kind of racked up, I began to value forgiveness. I really focused on, again, being big enough, tough enough to not only take it, but take it and not be mad, take it and not hold a grudge. Just keep taking it and forgive. And those are not bad values. They got me through a lot. But if I were to go back and have a conversation, I would ask myself to make a change sooner and to value strength over toughness. I brought a lot of pain and abuse my way because I had to prove how tough I was. And really what I was looking for was strength, and core inner strength was very different. Tough says I can take it, I can endure the pain. Strength says I'm strong enough to avoid pain. I'm strong enough to do what I need to do without pain. I would have definitely suggested to myself making that switch sooner. Same thing with intellect. In the last few years, I focused more on my wisdom, and I have found that, yeah, I'm smart. That's great. A lot of people are smart. It's my wisdom that makes me unique. It's the ability to hear what isn't said, connect dots that can't be seen. I started telling my clients, you have to be okay with the fact I can't show my work. I can't always line out for you logically why I see what I see. And if that's not comfortable for you, we're probably not a good match, because I'm smart, but it's the wisdom that makes me valuable. And then finally looking at that forgiveness piece, so wrapped up in being able to forgive that honestly I invited a lot of treatment that required forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't ask for understanding of the other person. Forgiveness doesn't say, let me put myself in your shoes and ask myself if what you did didn't feel reasonable to you at the time, or didn't feel safer to you at the time, or, whatever that may have been. A lot of the work that I've done with healing on the part of my relationship with both of my parents, and indeed my entire community, all those people that saw the black ice and didn't do anything, and so on and so forth, has been around compassion. Forgiveness just didn't do it for me. Forgiveness felt somehow like I was trying to come from a higher place, and that wasn't my path. It's not a bad path. It just wasn't my path. And doing work around compassion has allowed me to be open and easy and to heal.
Episode 83, Removing the Blinders from Abuse and Discovering Freedom, with Christina Enevoldsen.
When I think back to the little girl that I was who was all alone, if I could say, come on, let's get out of here, I would say that. But if I think that I didn't need advice. There was no escaping it. There was no, saying to my parents, look, this isn't working out for me. I'm going to go find another situation. Somebody will treat me better. And, in the world that I lived in, there was nobody that I could tell. And so I did a really great job coping, to make it from one day to the next. So I don't really think I needed advice. I think what I needed was somebody to come and sit beside me and put their arm around me and say, I see you. I think that's what I could have done. Like, if I could have done that for myself, if I would have had that, that would have meant the world to me.
Episode 84, How to Heal Using Body Intelligence and Mindfulness with Jane Clapp.
Piece of advice. I would probably just, that's a hard one. One piece of advice is that you have more resources available to you, to stop looking at what you're not getting from certain people. It might be family, and start looking at the people who are actually there, who really dig who you are, who really like who you are, who you know are available to you, and start focusing more on the people that are definitely really, really on your side and who you feel really love and accept you.
Episode 85, Questioning Everything to Find Your Place in the World with Jacob Nordby.
Wow, I'd really love to just have some tidy little soundbite thing there. Trust the inner voice. There's this inner voice that knows, and it nudges in a direction, and it leads home, but it's also so easy to ignore it. So I would tell my 12-year-old self and my 15-year-old self and my 22-year-old self, I'd say, Jacob, just trust, like really feel it, like that feeling you feel that doesn't feel comfortable, it doesn't feel like something's right. Just listen to that and then follow the direction of where it's trying to show you, because it really is extremely wise, and it doesn't make sense to your mind, to your rational mind and the way you've been taught, but it knows where you need to go, and it leads you more and more into your own life. So trust that.
Episode 86, Realizing that the Abuse Isn't All That You Are with Emily Stroya.
If I could go back and give myself one piece of advice, probably tell myself that this isn't who you are, it's just a part of you, and you are most absolutely worthy of love and deserving of it. And I'd probably give myself one of the biggest, most amazing hugs ever.
Episode 87, Overcoming Shyness and Increasing Your Confidence After Bullying with Tensie Taylor.
My piece of advice, and I also mentioned this in my book, so go buy the book too, is I wish I would have told my parents earlier, because I think they would have enrolled me in martial arts classes. That's the only thing. I would not change anything else about my life. And I think if I had maybe just stood up to one bully, then the other bullying would have stopped. And I'm not condoning violence, not at all. But if someone is trying to break your arm, if someone is dangling you from a 2-story building, if someone is hitting your head against the locker, you need to defend yourself. And I didn't defend myself. But because I was afraid, I didn't have any martial arts training. I was small. They were much bigger than me. I was afraid. But I really feel like if I would have had that training, I could have been able to, quote, fight them off, and they would have left me alone. But then some people tell me, well, Tensie, it's unfortunate that you had to go through that, but it's also in a way a blessing, because even though you had to go through that, now you're open and you're telling your story to help other people, to give them advice, to give them statistics, to give them resources, so as not to, have 13 years of bullying like you did. So again, like I said, I'm very positive. I always see the bright side of the picture. And so, yes, I did have to go through that. But now my book and my conversation and my speaking engagements are allowing me to help other young people. And so if you're being bullied, tell a teacher, tell an adult. Again, only resort to fighting back if you have used all measures. If you've told a teacher, a principal, administrator, and nothing's been done, or if you're alone and a bully corners you and tries to harm you, please fight back, because that is life or death. There was a situation a few months ago where these girls were recording these girls bullying and beating up this girl in the bathroom. I mean, there were 2-3 video cameras in there. They're recording on their cell phone. Nobody's trying to help the girl. Everybody's beat her, egging the bullies on. And what happened? This girl died. They hit her head on the sink and she died. So be proactive. Tell someone, take this seriously. And teachers and administrators, please, if a student is coming to you, listen, don't say, oh, well, toughen up, or you need to have tougher skin, or they're just words, get over it. No, because there have been many times when these are the last words that a student who's suffering hears, and they feel, no one cares. I have no way out. I tried to talk to my counselor. I tried to talk to my teacher. They don't care. And then the next thing you know, they've taken their life. So please, be kind, be encouraging, but most important, listen.
Episode 88, Reigning Victorious After the Trauma of Abuse, with Minister Annie Bell.
Trust your intuition and don't be scared to tell someone to go get help. Even though I knew deep down in my knower that what he was doing to me was wrong, I didn't have any evidence and I didn't have any proof to convince myself otherwise. Plus, with all of the fear that he was placing in me as a 6-year-old, I believed his threats had merit. But if I knew that what he was doing, without a shadow of a doubt, if I knew that it was wrong, then I know I would have spoken up sooner. I know I would have reached for help from other places, entities sooner. That's what I would tell myself.
Episode 89, How to Trust and Connect with Others After Not Feeling Safe, with Monica Martin.
The one piece that came immediately was to tell her that you're loved, that remember that you're loved.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else just kind of melts away after that. If I heard that and I knew that moving through it all, it would have been a different experience.
Episode 90, Reclaiming Your Wholeness and Gaining Your Freedom, with Skylar Michelle.
I think it would be that it's okay to choose you, because I didn't know that, and I'm still learning that. And to look at my little girl, which I have many times when she rises up within me and gets very, very scared, I get to step back, kind of like what we talked about, even if I don't have time, and put my feet on the ground and look at that little girl and tell her that she can choose her instead of the world. And she can choose her instead of protecting other people. And she can choose her even when it's scary, and even when it's uncomfortable, and even when it hurts. And she can choose her because she's enough.
Episode 91, How to Consciously Create Your Life and Find Your Identity, with Isabel Rizzo.
Have faith. It's going to be even bigger and better than you imagined. Don't care what other people think. It's going to be okay.
Episode 92, Dealing with Multiple Traumas and Persevering Through Them, with Jenny Maher.
Reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to people about what you really feel.
Episode 93, Defining Your Illness So That It Doesn't Define You, with Mark Hoberman.
That's a great question. It's like the movie Back to the Future. What would I do? Well, I think it's difficult because it would be me going back and telling me, listen, me, you got to embrace this sooner. You have to tell people, and those that will help you, and those that will not and stray away, let them stray away. So I would just tell myself to do exactly what I did do, but do it a lot faster and a lot sooner. And just to know you're not alone, and to have faith in other people that they're going to respond in an appropriate manner, in a helpful manner. And those who don't, it's hard for a teenager to understand this, and even as adults sometimes now, if people aren't supportive, it does bother me. And as a teenager, it's 5 times worse. But just to really give people a chance and confide in the people, and that a support system is very important. I had a support system of my family, my parents, but and my sister, who did not move to Florida with us. But not enough of my other extended family knew, and they could have been very helpful. Not all my friends knew, and I think the true friends could have been helpful. So just to own what it is you have and make a decision. I have this. It's not a great thing. It's nothing. You can't doesn't mean you have to go around being proud of it, but you certainly should not be ashamed of it. We all have our human frailties. Nobody's perfect. And you can grow from adversity and learn from it. Again, I became who I am because of this illness, and it shaped who I am and my philosophy on life and my work ethic and actually the profession that I chose. So I would tell myself to just have more faith in others and be more forthcoming and hopeful that people will join your support network. But you have to be your own support network first. I don't want you to think that I immediately embraced this illness and grew from it. I had 6 months to a year of some very tough times. And it was when I started to research it and confide in some other people that I really took more control over my illness and my life than I had the first year when I was diagnosed.
Thanks for listening to the show today. This has been the Grass Gets Greener podcast, episode 96. Go to thegrassgetsgreener.com/recap4. So that's recap and the number 4, as this is the 4th overall recap episode of the podcast. And over there, you'll be able to find the links to each of the full episodes that were mentioned in this week's episode, as well as be able to leave a comment. And I would love to hear any feedback that you have. I hope that you enjoy these 2 recap episodes. And if you have any comment on them, feel free to head over to the show notes page and let me know. And I'd also just want to let you know, so if you haven't heard yet, we're going to be starting with year 3 of the podcast. These 2 episodes kind of are wrapping up year 2. And as we're going into year 3, I'm going to be switching over to an every other week schedule. So the next episode to start off year 3 is going to be in 2 weeks on November 14th. So be sure to come back for that. And also, if you have a chance, I would love for you to head over to iTunes or Stitcher to leave the show a rating and review so that, we can reach as many survivors as possible. As, we're wrapping up the end of year 2, I think it's a great opportunity to go ahead and do that if you haven't had a chance yet. So I hope that you'll take just a few minutes of your time to go and do that if you like what I'm doing with the show and you want to leave me some feedback over there on iTunes or Stitcher. And also, just to let you know, if you're interested in checking out that deal from Audible, that's over at thegrassgetsgreener.com/Audible, where you can get the free audio download along with the 30-day free trial. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this will be the last episode that I will be mentioning them as a sponsor. So if you're interested in checking that out, be sure to go ahead over to that link and check it out while you still can. And other than that, it's been a pleasure to bring you these episodes for the past 2 years, and I look forward to continuing them into year 3 and bringing you more amazing guests, and I hope that you'll join me for them. And as always, have hope.